Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 1988's Working Girl.
You know, Melanie Griffith and I didn't realize had so much in common because I also have a brain for business and a bod for sin.
I have a head for business and a bod for sin.
I have seen this movie once, and that was the only thing I remembered about this, other than Sigourney Weaver breaking her leg somehow. Those were the two things I remembered.
Dope. Well, let's get into this. And before we get started, if you want to reach out to me and Corey on Twitter, you can reach out to me at Junior D's. You can reach out to Corey at Corey_idol. Let's get into the cast of 1988's Working Girl. This film stars Melanie Griffith as Tess McGill, Harrison Ford as Jack Trainer, Sigourney Weaver as Katharine Parker, Alec Baldwin as Mick Dugan, and Joan Cusack as Cynthia.
They just kind of gave up on, they're like, Jersey trash. Mick Dugan sounds about right. What about her friend? I don't know, fucking Cynthia? That sounds like a hairstylist in the 80s.
I'm surprised it wasn't Joanne. Like, the Joanne would have been a perfect, like, Jersey, or wherever the hell they're from, Staten Island trash name.
Totally.
What are you talking about?
Before, and I know I've seen this movie a bunch, whether willing or not. I've seen this movie a number of times. I always categorized this as like, oh, they just did a remake of Secret of My Success, but they just put what's her nuts in the lead role. Like it's just the female version of that, and it's so not that.
No, it's very, very, very different. Because I thought the same thing. Once I got over the Christ music at the beginning of the fucking movie, that threw me more than anything else did in this movie for a loop. Was the New Jerusalem shit. And I get it. They're singing about New York and, you know, the 80s, and this is where it happens. But it's been repurposed since then.
Yes.
To be a We Love Jesus More Than You song. And I got to tell you, bro.
I'm not there for it.
No. I was immediately like, fuck. Like, I felt like I opened the door to a Jehovah's Witness. It's like, God damn it. That's how I'm starting my fucking day.
When it actually gets into the film, it opens with Tess and Cynthia on the Staten Island ferry heading to New York City to go to work. They work as secretaries at a Manhattan financial firm. Tess is super ambitious, wants to be an executive, but can't catch a break because apparently she got her degree at night school and she's not from Harvard and she's a woman. So
was this a thing, like, for real in the 80s? Like, the whole night school? You're disgusting. Because I remember like when I was first getting into the job market as a young, 21, 22-year-old, really trying to get a career going.
Yeah.
I was told a lot that night school was always an option to further my career.
Yes.
And it should be done. And it was usually offered by the job to go get a degree in whatever field you were currently in.
Yes.
Like they would help pay some sort of tuition reimbursement thing. And this is just like, oh, you went to night school? Fetch me a coffee, dog.
You were right.
I think there was, like, back then in the 80s, it was like if you didn't go to like a prestigious university, and it didn't even need to be a prestigious, just a university. If university was in the title, you were good. And if you went to night school, you were basically classified as trash. You were either, in this case, Staten Island trash, or, one of these like, oh, I'm just a full-time mom and I go to night school when my husband, who makes the real money, like, gets home from work. And like, it was kind of looked down upon, like, good for you, but also go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and just do this then.
Corey's Life Lessons.
Hi, employers and employees. Uncle Corey here. First off, college degrees are bullshit. Bullshit. Expecting an 18 or 19-year-old kid to decide what they want to do for the rest of their lives is not only unrealistic, it's fucking cruel.
Yes.
I became a writer at age like 34 after I lost my job and couldn't find anything in the middle of a recession. It was like, well, fuck it. I guess I'll just tell a fuck story. And then it just went from there. So everybody needs to stop romanticizing college degrees, because for the most part, they're bullshit. And yes, back in the day, your Harvards and your Yales and your Stanfords, those were awesome. But now it's a fucking circle jerk for rich kids. That's all it is. It's a way for sociopaths to carve out their own line in life. So stop doing that. And for employers, stop bemoaning people or shitting on anyone that is trying to better themselves whilst also holding down a full-time job.
Yes.
That 100% of the time is who I want to hire.
Yep.
Anybody that can hold down a full-time job and really do anything else is so impressive to me, because when I was holding down a full-time job, I could barely function as a human being. I'm pretty sure I learned to wipe my ass after I got fired the third time I got fired. I was like, oh, shit stains don't belong in there.
And she actually gets fired here from her secretary position because her boss tries to pimp her out to a friend of his and he's like doing fucking rails in the limo, and it's supposed to be like this job interview. And of course it's Kevin Spacey. There is not a more suitable role for anybody in Hollywood than Kevin Spacey in this role, trying to sexually assault somebody in a limo while also ripping down rails of cocaine.
Yeah, the only way this would be more true to life is if it were a 14-year-old boy in the fucking seat next to him.
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is.
This was like a weird roller coaster ride of actors for me, because I got really excited when I saw Oliver Platt's name in the credits.
Yeah.
As we've discussed before, huge Oliver Platt fan. He kills everything he does. And I don't even care if he's a bad guy, because he kind of is in this movie. He's the dick. He's the boss that's trying to pimp her out. Again, by the way. He's in it for like 2 to 3 scenes.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed. And then I saw Kevin Spacey, and I was like, ugh, gross. Because that's just kind of how I feel now watching him in anything.
Yeah.
And it's so disappointing because he's in so many good movies.
Yep.
But I was like, oh, God damn it, Kevin Spacey. And then he disappeared from the movie, and I was like, that's pretty good. They like balanced out the Oliver Plattness of the whole thing.
Yeah, well, and all of these guys were like, and Melanie Griffith too, like they were relative unknowns. I mean, Melanie Griffith had only done a couple, like 2 movies, I think, before this one. This was her first like starring role, and they couldn't even. She didn't even get the main title card, even though she's the star of the film, because nobody knew who she was. So they gave the 2 opening title cards to Harrison Ford and Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And I think like Melanie had maybe done Cherry 3000 or whatever the fuck that movie was. Basically, she had been tits and ass. And then this movie was the one that really gave her lines and a character arc. Yeah. And she killed it. She does a great job. Spoiler alert.
She absolutely kills it. So she gets fired from this job. She gets placed in a new like financial division for Petty Marsh. She becomes a secretary for the mergers and acquisitions executive, Katharine Parker. So she meets Katharine, and Katharine seems to be like welcoming and supportive as a boss, encourages her to come forward with any ideas.
Couple things here. One, we had an Olympia Dukakis sighting as her placement agency person, job agency person, which was great. And they had they have a nice little gallery of people that just show up here to do like 3 or 4 lines and then drop out for the rest of the movie. It was crazy. But this is a piece of advice.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi guys, Uncle Corey here. If you are in any way, shape, or form in charge of the catering for company events, my advice is this. Avoid foods that may smell, because we're all trapped in a tight room.
Yep.
Right? So fish, Chinese food, Indian food, things like that naturally just go What the fuck? That is a strong odor.
Yeah.
Those don't need to be served at those kind of parties. And I'm not shitting on those foods or their cultures or any of that shit, because I love all of it. But not at a fucking office party where, by the way, I'm probably going to shit myself in 30 minutes after eating it.
100%. There is no doubt that there is an emergency run to the bathroom for me in my future. After helping cater one of Katharine's parties, she goes to Katharine with an idea for Trask Industries, one of their new clients. Katharine tells Tess that her idea was shot down as Trask is dead set on investing in television and doesn't want to invest in radio stations. And here's the other thing, and it's not really a don't do that, but it's just like, it's just a good piece of advice to just use. Like, if you're gonna steal ideas from people, like what she should have done is like, holy shit, this is a multi-million-dollar idea. This is fantastic. By the way, Tess, you're fired. Just, you let them go. If you're gonna do it, like, lean into it. You have 45 secretaries outside your office. You could literally just pick another one and put them in that position. Steal her idea, fire her. Don't go, yeah, they didn't take it. And then like a month later, whatever, when the deal goes through, you got a secretary sitting out your office like, dude, what the fuck, man? Because now you got to deal with that.
You're right. It's fact.
On the other side of that coin, if you do have an idea, memos, emails with CCs,
yes,
things like that. Let more people know.
I don't know. Were there emails back then?
No, there weren't. That's why I said memos.
Okay.
I guarantee you she has a boss. You're a secretary. You could have printed up a memo and kind of shopped that around a little bit and had it in your back pocket. Just Absolutely. Have some sort of evidence. Take a fucking photo of the memo and the picture of today's USA Today as a proof of life, and you'll be covered. But you need something, because I got news for you. If you are naive enough to think that my boss wouldn't do that, the fuck they wouldn't.
Yes.
Everyone in this industry, being business, being American capitalism, is looking to get one up on somebody else to move up the chain.
You're goddamn right.
So she gets home to, Staten Island. She describes her new boss and job to her boyfriend, and Mick could give two shits because he's Staten Island trash.
I'm going to go ahead and say most people that buy lingerie for their partner, whatever city you're in, township, whatever, you're that city's trash.
Yes.
That's just not a good present.
Yeah.
It's just not. You know why? Because in about 5 seconds, it's all coming off, and then you're not wearing it again because that shit's not comfortable. Believe me, I know.
Hell yes.
By the way, this is how much trash Mick is in this movie. Mm-hmm. Not only does he buy his girlfriend / almost fiance lingerie for her birthday, but he has to have the hookup at the lingerie store because he literally gets it as a gift for everybody he knows. They go to the engagement party later and he's like, hey, they open the thing and it's more panties. Well, like, who do you know what the lingerie's like? He's got an in with the mob or something. It's like, oh, all these panties just fell off the back of a truck. Here you go. He's got a whole closet full of lingerie that he can give as gifts now.
Pretty much. Maybe he's a regifter.
Could
the
be.
Girls just like, fuck you, Mick Dugan, and they throw their panties at him in the whole set, and then he's just like, hey, fuck you, Tessa, and then he just pulls it up and then regifts.
So afterwards, Katharine goes on this ski trip, she breaks her leg, and she calls Tess to let her know that she's not going to be able to be back to the office for a couple of weeks, and gives her a laundry list of shit to do for her. While Tess is tending to all these things that, Katharine needs her to do, she's at her Manhattan townhouse. She finds this handheld tape recorder with Katharine's personal voice memos, and she learns that Katharine lied to her about the Trask Industries idea. And after looking on Katharine's computer, Tess finds a message to Jack Traynor, passing off Tess's idea as her own. And here's the difference between Secret of My Success and this. Mm-hmm. Okay? And this is where the two go, because Michael J. Fox is just like, I want to be an executive. Here's an empty office. Now I'm just impersonating. He made up a guy, apparently his social security card, fucking whatever. Like, he's totally committing fraud.
Yes.
Tess went, oh, this bitch. And you're going to, like, now it's more of a revenge plot and let me get what's mine. So she takes her, like, make it happen. Katharine tells her, you got to make it happen for yourself because blah, blah, blah. So she takes that to heart and is like, fuck you, bitch. I got this. And now she goes off in her own direction trying to make this deal happen because Katharine's not around.
And I like this, and I get it. They're two different movies.
Yeah.
But I like this one more because it is more realistic. You could totally see she doesn't have a fake name.
Absolutely.
She doesn't she's still using Katharine's office, but she's Katharine's assistant.
Yes.
People are treating her like they're Catherine. It's not like, oh, this is Whitfield, and then, oh, no, that's Brantley. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, there's not this dual identity crisscross thing that's happening. It's very much on the level, and you could see how it would go.
100%. Tess is now pissed at this whole situation. She goes home. She finds Mick in bed with Doreen DiMucci, a mutual friend of theirs. Tess then storms out as a naked Mick screams apologies from their front porch.
This was maybe the most realistic thing for Alec Baldwin's character to do here, which is as soon as he gets caught, like, oh, no class tonight? No, they cancel it? Oh, that's a shame. This isn't what it looks. Okay, it is what it looks like, but like his whole like line of bullshit here and his whole range of like, oh, fuck you, this is your fault. I love you. That whole span here he does is so realistic.
Absolutely.
To somebody getting caught in the act, it's phenomenal.
Tess then decides to take Katharine's advice, make it happen for herself, and she starts using Katharine's name to set up meetings with executives from Dewey Stone, where Jack Traynor works. Tess then finds Katharine's invitation to a party, plans to go there so she can introduce herself to Jack the night before their meeting is set. She has Cynthia here give her this bullshit 1980s women's business cut and borrows one of Katharine's dresses and goes to the party. Here's the thing. Like, I've seen this and we've covered a few of these business 80s movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. Like, I get it. You can't have the Bon Jovi hair going and being like a business person. Understandable. But you don't have to Sinead O'Connor it. Like, what the fuck are these people like? All of a sudden, that means that I'm good at business and I'm classy. You look like shit. Yeah. I can't stand that look. Short hair is fine, but that style, that business 80s woman's cut is awful. Corey's Life Lessons.
Hi, women. Uncle Corey here. Let's cut the shit, can we? Stop fucking my business professional hair. Have an idea and make it good.
Yes.
Cut the rest of the shit out, Hillary Clinton. You don't need to look like that. Be yourself. If that's really how you want your hair to be, let it be that way. But stop trying to mold yourself after how men want you to look and then be shocked that, men are trying to control you. You're doing it already.
Yes.
Stop it. Look how you want to look and have a fucking better idea. And if you can't sell it, figure out a better way to sell it or do what Tess does and just take it. Yep. What do you think? White men aren't special. We've just been taking shit for centuries. Yes. Just do it.
Well, at this party, she's sitting at the bar. Tess realizes that she doesn't know what Jack looks like. Jack notices her, goes over to talk to her, and he lies to Tess and doesn't tell her that he's Jack Traynor. The two flirt and drink until Tess notices people from her old office and she bounces. Well, that and the fact that she had some tequila and mixed it with Valium and she's a goddamn bloody mess at this point. Don't do that, it's not good for you. Hi, people who are, I guess, trying to take drugs, give their friends drugs, whatever. Just two quick pieces of advice. A, if your friend's never done a certain drug, let's call it Valium in this case. Don't give it to them. And if you do, like, literally a sliver will get it done. Two, if your friend is trying to give you drugs, I feel like I'm doing a 1980s, like, there should be a cartoon character in this with me. But if a friend is trying to give you drugs and you're not used to taking drugs, don't take said drugs before an important event.
What are you talking about?
Everybody gets nervous and everybody shits their pants before, like, the big thing. Like, she's really nervous, like, oh, I'm freaking out and stuff. That's cool. You should be, because, this is a big deal. But also, you need to Game 7 face that shit and just do it.
No,
because you're not special. Everybody's shitting their pants before the big thing. The difference makers, though, just suck it up and fucking do it.
Yeah.
And if you can't pull yourself to do that without the help of fucking Valium and tequila, maybe you're not ready.
But she decides she's going to leave. She tells Jack to get her jacket, and her and Jack get into a cab, and she passes out. Jack takes her to his apartment, carries her up the stairs, puts her to bed, and falls asleep himself. There is this weird scene between him and her, and it's kind of funny, where he's like, she's assed out, and he's just like sitting in a chair talking to her, like she's still awake.
Was he blotto too from the tequila? Because I didn't get, like, he's just like, do you want a coffee? No. Herbal tea? Everybody asked me if I want herbal tea, and that sounds like, if he's fucked up, it's a hilarious thing. But if he's just like, I'm awkward and I'm gonna have this conversation, like, that's like serial killer behavior. Like, that shit looked like Jeffrey Dahmer.
It seemed like he had been at the party for a while and had been drinking. So I'm assuming this was like a little drunken conversation, which I found to be funny. So
yeah, no, like I said, drunk, it's funny as shit.
Yeah. Oh no, if you're stone sober, yeah, you're making skin purses.
This movie's taking a very different turn.
So Tess then wakes up in the morning in an unknown apartment in her underwear next to some dude that she met the night before. So she quickly gets her shit, dresses, and dips out before Jack wakes up. And later that day, Tess is shocked when she gets to the meeting, and the dude from the night before was Jack Traynor. Dun dun dun. Tess keeps her shit together here. Jack and his colleagues take the proposal. They like the proposal. They agree to present it within their company and let her know if everything's good to go. Again, when writers write these scenes, they have a tendency, like, to almost have the Tess character kind of shit their pants and then find their footing. It's literally a quick holy shit, and then she's like right into business mode. And I really liked how they didn't do that to her character here.
No, I totally agree. I was going to say the exact same thing. The character building here for her is fantastic because she was passed the fuck out, didn't remember anything.
Yep.
Like, she sees his face the next morning and stares at it. That's how she remembers, because she doesn't even really remember what he looked like. So, like, the next morning, she's staring at her face. She dips out the apartment, recognizes him again as the guy that potentially took her home passed out and fucked her.
Yes.
That night. Like, and she's just like, oh, fuck. Okay. And goes into it. That's that Game 7 face I'm talking about.
Yep.
And I'm not, because what's going on in her mind, and I get it, the 80s were very different, and it seems to be almost like a thing that just kind of happened, kind of like Mick cheating on his girlfriend, like, just like, it was a Tuesday, what are you going to do? But she's very, very, like, all right, it fucking happened, whatever, I still need to get this fucking proposal done. Like, I'm already here, so fuck it.
Tess then gets back to the office, complains to Cynthia about the meeting and the night before with Jack. Jack then shows up at the office and they discuss what happened the night before.
Cynthia here starts showing her ass a little bit.
Yes.
And this is where I really started to be like, you know what, Cynthia? You can go, by the time Cynthia is done with this movie, she can go fuck herself.
Absolutely.
I don't like when at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, she's up at her desk and like, she did it. She's not the call I'm making. I'm calling somebody else who is actually, I don't know, moderately supportive of me through this.
Corey's Life Lessons.
Hi kids, Uncle Corey here. If you have a friend who's telling you that your idea or the moves you're making or whatever to better yourself, whilst you are not committing any crimes or breaking any laws, and they're telling you you're not good enough to do this, stay in your lane, get rid of that person. Cut them out of your fucking life. They are no good for you. They are pieces of shit. And they want to keep you down where they are because they know they're a piece of shit.
Jack here then assures her that nothing sexual happened the night before. He also tells her that Dewey Stone wants to move forward with the Trask deal. Cut to Cynthia's engagement party in Staten Island. She sees Mick. They talk over drinks. They dance. And after getting pressured by the party, Mick proposes to Tess. She says maybe. Mick gets all pissed, and they fight outside about it, and he storms off.
All
and
right.
here's the second thing with Cynthia, right? Cynthia's like, give him another shot, give him a second chance. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, A, I can relate to Tess in this situation because, listen, I grew up in Western New York. These pieces of shit are everywhere. They grow like fucking leaves on trees. Yeah. Like they're like, well, we're always gonna be here and we're never gonna move away. And if you move away, you're a piece of shit. So I need to keep all my fucking peoples close. I found his dick in this whore over here that we are friends with. And yeah, no, let me go ahead and give him a second chance. Like, I'm sorry your life sucks, but you can also go fuck yourself.
You're goddamn right.
First off, fuck your fiance, Cynthia. Hey, Mick, when you gonna pop the question? You gotta know what fucking happened, asshole.
Everybody at the party knows what happened.
Mick should be pissed off at his friend.
Yes.
And what you do in this situation, guys, to, I don't know, show that you understand that you fucked up is be like, I gotta get some stuff right in my life before I can have that. You know what I mean? Make a joke out of yourself if you're called out. Don't put your girlfriend your ex-girlfriend on the spot like that. Yes. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Yep.
And then for fucking Alec Baldwin to do it, and then have the fucking balls to get pissed. Well, I thought you wanted me to propose. Why?
What gave you that idea at all?
What about you fucking that little fucking piece of shit made you think I would think you're fucking marriage material? At all.
So Tess and Jack then plan to speak with Trask's CEO to pitch their merger to him directly. So they crash his daughter's wedding reception and get an appointment to discuss the merger. The meeting goes well. Tess and Jack celebrate by making out and then making sweet, sweet love together.
And I like a couple things here. One, Harrison Ford puts a little acting class here for everybody, because going to the meeting, he's questioning, why are we doing this? This is a late lunch. What's going on? And then he finds out. And the nervousness he shows, and just like oh fuck, that whole time. And then he's just like, no, bitch, we're here. We're doing this. And he just full goes into it like he's been a con man his whole life. And is that Elizabeth, Beth, Bitsy, Lizzie? What's her name? Okay. Yeah. You know, obviously capping it off with they sold it, they make out, and then him buying the food from the delivery guy in New York. If you've ever had sex in New York, everyone has done this, where you just have the blanket wrapped around you because the delivery shows up and you're still naked. And being a delivery guy in New York, call me because we got a book, son.
Hell yes.
And this is where the movie really picks up, because Jack gets the call from Katharine while Tess is in bed with them. He admits to Tess that he'd been seeing a woman for some time, and it's Katharine, but he's going to break it off ASAP. And during this time here, Tess doesn't reveal that she's a secretary or her connection with Katharine.
No, I think Tess makes the right move here, not telling him.
Yes.
Because there's so much information being downloaded right now.
Yep.
That would just be way too much to process. Like, fucking heads would be exploding after all the connections here.
Yeah.
However, I do love this twist. It was a fantastic twist.
Yes.
And you don't see it coming. However, it's all right there for you if you're just paying a little bit of attention to the dialogue. I loved it.
No, absolutely.
I actually had a bit of like a Maury moment where I was just like, oh shit.
Katharine then calls Tess to tell her that she's leaving the hospital. She's going to be in New York City soon. So Tess scrambles to clean Katharine's house to prepare for the, finalization of the Trask deal, which is scheduled for the same day that Katharine comes home. And I got one quick question for you here. Do we need the naked house cleaning scene? Like, I know you said it before we started, like, Melanie Griffith was like tits and ass kind of thing before this. This was like her first, like, super true legitimate role. I don't remember the scene, and again, I've seen this a million times, and I just don't remember her vacuuming in just a pair of panties.
No, me either. And here, I'll try my best to explain this away.
Okay,
if
cool.
this doesn't work for you, then hey, the writer's a fucking pervert. But my guess is she didn't want to dirty up her business clothes because she's still got business shit to deal with after she's got the house cleaned.
Okay,
so
I
she
see
took
that.
off the clothes, put them away, just hung them up, and just got the house cleaned.
Understandable. You just titties just out, like, that's the part I didn't get. Like, you could do, if that was the case, you could do bra and panties. I'm just saying, I didn't really need. We don't really need to have that scene in here.
My guess is if you have Melanie Griffith on set willing to take her breasts out for a scene, you do it.
I mean, I guess.
Look, it's the 80s. I'm not saying I'm fucking.
Hey,
this wasn't
fair.
directed by James Franco, but at the same time, I get where you're coming from.
Tess then gets Katharine home and starts to worry about arriving to her meeting on time as Katharine gives her another laundry list of shit to do. Katharine has also arranged for Jack to come visit her that afternoon. She expects Jack to propose to her. Jack gets to the house, and after some really rushed, awkward conversation, he just takes off as she attempts to get his little Jack out of his pants, or whatever the hell she says.
Yeah, I understand Jack here a little bit, but at the same time, I don't know. He just takes such a weird. I don't know if it's supposed to demonstrate that Katharine is so commanding and powerful that he just shits his pants.
Yeah.
But he turns into a soggy, wet fucking blanket here.
Well, he does.
And I don't get it.
There is the one scene, and I think it's right before when Tess is describing going to the wedding. And she's like, I'm going to do this by myself. And he's like, are you trying to cut me out of the deal? Like, I'm one deal away from getting fucking fired. And that's where you see, like, his nerves and shit. Yeah. Like, he's like, I fumbled the last couple of deals. I'm on thin ice. I think that all kind of plays into this here. Because Katharine is like the powerful executive, and he's literally one bad decision away from getting fucking fired. So
that's true.
That's how I saw it. That's how I saw it. So Tess leaves for the merger appointment. She leaves her like appointment book behind. Katharine reads through it, sees that Tess has been meeting with Jack for both business and pleasure, and immediately goes into her closet looking for shit because she's going to the Trask office to fuck Tess up.
I really enjoy, outside of Cynthia, I really enjoy the way they portray the women in this movie.
Yes.
Because while they do have normal, they're not, it's not like women written by a man where it's like, I act like a man, but look, I have breasts. Like they're all very well written women. They're acting like women do. They have regular female emotions and patterns of thought, it looks like. But they're also like, oh no, fuck that shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Like there's a whole lot of like, nah, I am not taking that.
I really liked how they were written. Every character. Again, outside of Cynthia. Cut to the Trask boardroom. While the meeting is running, Katharine barges in, exposes Tess as her secretary. Tess doesn't deny it, but attempts to defend herself. And then she just kind of gives up and is like, dude, I'm out of here. Sorry. Katharine wastes zero time, sits down and is like, all right, we're continuing this deal. This bitch is out. This bitch is in. Let's fucking get to work.
Yeah, dude. And when she comes in that boardroom and she tells Harrison Ford to sit down and basically shut up, and he just does it.
Jack, just trust me and sit down.
Yo, I was like, oh, Tess, you're so fucked.
It's a great scene. And listen, if Sigourney Weaver just like bursts into the room and starts commanding things, I mean, she was the alien chick. I'm just listening. Like,
I am not. Look, Sigourney Weaver and Jamie Lee Curtis are two women I am not fucking with in any way, shape, or form.
We then cut to Tess at Cynthia's wedding as the maid of honor. She speaks to Mick. He's now in a relationship with Doreen, the chick he was banging earlier.
Oh my God, dude. When this scene started,
yeah,
and Tess started talking, I'm like, yo, I know everybody kind of does this when they're down. And it's just like, I don't deserve this. I fucked up. I messed up. I am what Joan Cusack thinks I am through this whole fucking movie.
Yes. Yep.
And she slowly is starting to try and feel Mick out about possibly reconciling something. Grabbing a drink, having dinner, whatever. And thank God Doreen's nasty ass flies up into the fucking set again and just totally puts that fire out, because I was about to lose my shit.
Yeah, and it just ends as they like wish each other well and then they part ways. Tess then returns to Petty Marsh to clean out her desk, say goodbye to everyone. And as Tess makes her last walk through the lobby, she runs into Jack, Katharine, and Orrin Trask. They're on their way to continue this deal, get this deal done. Tess confronts Katharine, lays into her, and Katharine plays a great victim role in this whole scene. And Trask is still not convinced of Tess's whole story, but Tess has one last parting shot as the elevator doors close. Trask jumps off, goes up with her and Jack, and on the ride up, she explains how she thought of the idea and why she came to him and yada yada. So when they get to the top floor, Trask asks Katharine to explain why, or like what made her think of this deal and this merger. Katharine fumbles all over herself for an answer. She can't fucking find one. And Trask tells her to go kick rocks. Corey's life lessons.
Hi, novice liars out there. Uncle Corey here. If you can't think the entire thing through, it's like chess. A good liar is a master chess player. You have to have the entire game played in your head before it even starts. And you have to be able to improvise when necessary.
Yes.
And Katharine got in way over her head because she's not a person who's had to lie. She's had to cheat.
Yes.
She's not had to lie. And now that she's caught up in a lie and they're really digging, she was not prepared for it.
And Trask here offers Tess an entry-level job at Trask Industries. She accepts, and it shows her at work. There's some confusion about what job she actually has. She sits at the secretary's desk because she sees some woman in the office on the phone with her feet up. The woman comes out, introduces herself as Alice Baxter, and apologizes for using the office phone. So Alice clarifies that the office belongs to Tess, and she's Tess's secretary. I liked this scene because Tess is she's still got the Staten Island mentality that Cynthia has been drilling into her head this entire time, and what seems to be like her entire life. So she's like, well, of course I'm just the secretary. This is the entry-level job that he gave me.
Yeah.
And, then crisscross, and she's not. She's the boss. And then the movie ends. And I actually like this part of the ending.
Mm-hmm.
The part that I don't like, and I think that you would agree with me, is that when she gets into the office, she calls Cynthia, who starts screaming like a madman to the whole assistant pool at Petty Marsh. And she shares the news. Everyone cheers for Tess, and the movie ends as, the camera pans out. We didn't need this here. Mm-hmm. This was like this movie's Officer and a Gentleman moment.
Yes.
Where it's just like, you go get him, girl. And it's like, the movie was good. Like all the way through the end, and you even have the little comic relief at the end where That's all good. You don't need the fuck Cynthia. She's a shitty friend.
You're right. It's fact.
It's fine. You want to call Cynthia, rub it in. Like, hey, bitch, guess where I'm calling you from?
Looks like somebody made it.
How's that cubicle, bitch? But
that's how Corey ends this film.
Hell yes.
I just thought it was stupid because Cynthia's like, she made it. You are rooting. You're as much of a foil in this, if not more, than Katharine is for more of the movie. You are not rooting for her. You're helping her at the beginning begrudgingly.
Yes.
But you're not rooting for her to make it at all. So this ending where it's like, yeah, she did it. It is like Officer and a Gentleman, where it's just like, no.
Yeah.
You weren't on my team. Like you got the wrong idea for this call. I'm laughing at you. I'm not calling to like, yay, you approve of me now. Fuck you. And by the way, now that she has this job, her and Cynthia are not going to be friends.
No, they might talk every 6 months.
Yeah, dude.
At best.
At best.
At best. She ain't coming to your kid's first birthday party. She's not coming to Thanksgiving. Like none of that shit is happening. Like
no, not at all.
She's out that bitch. She ain't touching Staten Island again.
Don't get me wrong. I know Staten Island isn't all heroin and racist cops. It also has meth and racist firefighters.
I've made fun of my wife for years for loving this movie the way she loves this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But taking a critical eye to it, it's a good movie. It's well written. The characters are good. The character arcs are good. Listen, I'll say this. You could say Indiana Jones, and you could say some other characters that he's portrayed that he looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
Dude looked good in this fucking movie, and he was. I always forget, like, Harrison Ford is like kind of built. Those scenes of him like changing his shirt in the office and all the secretaries or assistants are outside and they're like all cheering him on or whatever. Like those scenes are just funny. There was enough comedy peppered out throughout this.
Yes.
That made it, because it's a 2-hour movie, but it was paced really well. I liked it beginning to end.
Yeah, no, they're all great. Melanie Griffith does a fantastic job. I think she shows maybe for the first time in her career that she's a player.
Yeah.
And not just, a model actress.
Yeah.
If you don't know what that means, I'd say look up Megan Fox, but that's just me. I think Sigourney Weaver, this is one of the first bad guys she played, and she was fantastic.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford was charming as fuck. That scene on the elevator where it's like, me? Nah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, of course, like that alone, that's when he's like, oh yeah, you and Melanie are totally hooking up in this movie.
Hell yes.
By and large, I like this movie quite a bit. Every time I thought to myself, like, I'd rewrite this scene or I'd do this differently. 5 minutes later, I changed my mind because the movie played out the way it should have, and it made more sense than how I would have changed it. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, all in all, this is a great movie. And before we go, we do have to say thank you for your patience. I know Poison Ivy was requested here.
Yep.
We could not do Poison Ivy because of streaming, and apparently streaming service is having a problem with 16-year-old girls fucking men Tom Skerritt's age. I don't get it.
I think that's a thing. It's been pulled.
Yeah. You literally cannot rent the movie on Amazon.
Yeah.
Which I do. And whoever decides this, streaming people out there, tell me what's the difference between Poison Ivy 1 and Poison Ivy 2 through 28. Because you can find those anywhere you want to.
They're everywhere.
Poison Ivy 1 does not exist.
Yeah.
So whatever. But yeah, so thank you for your patience. Thank you for suggesting Working Girl. This was a very different request and a very different show than Poison Ivy would have been.
Yes.
Just thank you so much, because we hate not being able to find or do the movies you wanted. The only one we haven't been able to do, I think, was Blood In, Blood Out.
Yeah.
Because you also can't find that anywhere.
Yeah.
And just to let you guys know, the reason we do need the movies to be streaming and we just can't go find the DVD somewhere or order a DVD of it off Amazon or something like that is because we add clips to the movies. And the clips need to look nice and pretty and not look like a VHS tape that was then transferred to a DVD, that was then transferred to a computer, that was then transferred onto YouTube. So
Yes.
thank you for your patience. We're really sorry. We appreciate you working with us. And if you didn't like it, you're not getting your money back. So I guess request another movie.
Fingers crossed. Hope you liked it. Well, with that said, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1988's Working Girl.